بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. One of the important themes in our religion is to establish an environment where it becomes easy to do good deeds and to create an atmosphere of encouragement and motivation. This atmosphere of encouragement, motivation to do good things, creating an environment where people become positive role models, and also an understanding amongst people that they will be there to encourage and give a little bit of a boost when it is required. This is called Amr bil Ma'ruf. And in order for such an environment to survive, it must be kept clean of negative influences, negative environments, such deeds that create a confusion in the minds of people, either by setting negative role models or putting ideas in the minds of people, ideas that would lead them away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to keep the environment free of such deterrence, this is called Nahi Anil Munkar. In the fourth juz, this theme is mentioned a few times. The first reference is وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. There should be from amongst you, O Muslims, a group that is devoted to, a group that is dedicated to this Amr bil Ma'ruf, this spreading of good, enjoining good. Now the word Amr is used. Amr literally means command. But the term Amr in the Arabic language as well as in Sharia is used for various things. Amr is also used to encourage, it's also used to motivate, it's also used to prescribe something that is recommended. The idea is to act in such a way that the person we are addressing feels motivated to do the right thing or to do something that they perhaps weren't thinking of doing, but it's important for them, or something that will bring them great reward. Ma'ruf means that which is recognized as good, that which is affirmed by our deen to be something good. Now, obviously, there are levels of ma'ruf. For example, in terms of belief, Iman is the greatest ma'ruf. So belief in Tawheed in the of the Dhat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the greatest ma'ruf. And then there are fara'id. There are fara'id in relation to the worships and fara'id in relation to rights, duties, conduct, and behavior. For example, the rights of parents are also from the fara'id. The rights of family and children are also from the fara'id. So the greatest importance lies on those ma'ruf that have been given the greatest emphasis in our deen. And then after that, there are many levels of ma'ruf. There are those things which are emphasized in our deen. There are those things which are promoted and recommended in our deen. And then there are those things which are mustahsan, they are thought of as good, either directly in our religious texts, or it is deduced from the principles of our deen that such acts, such mannerisms are praiseworthy, are healthy, are good practices. One of the things about Amr bil Ma'ruf in the Quran is that it always precedes Nahi Anil Munkar. So before there is Nahi Anil Munkar, Amr bil Ma'ruf should take place. This means that before we start calling out negative behavior, it's important for us to encourage good behavior. For example, before we start admonishing people for leaving Salat, we first need to create an environment that is encouraging and motivating people to pray Salat. Similarly, before we start shunning bad behavior, we need to encourage good behavior. Before we stop a wrong act, we need to make sure that we have laid enough emphasis on the good act that should be replacing that wrong act. So Amr bil Ma'ruf always comes before Nahi anil Munkar. Another thing to keep in mind is that Amr bil Ma'ruf does not mean telling someone that such and such thing is an obligation, that's why they must do it. In other words, Amr bil Ma'ruf does not mean to give a fatwa that such and such thing is fard. And Nahi anil Munkar does not mean giving a fatwa that such and such thing is haram. Often what happens is when we talk about good and bad, right away the word fard or wajib or the word haram comes out. And this is, even though we may have the knowledge of this, that such and such thing is haram, or sometimes we might not necessarily have the knowledge or we think that it's haram. The idea is to get the person towards what is good and get them away from what is evil. Now, if a person who is not in a scholarly position starts using these terms, then what happens is that the terms lose their importance. And secondly, people will not pay attention, because why would they take so and so's word for granted just because someone said that it's fard, someone said it's haram? We often hear our youth using these terms in a way that's not always accurate. And we know that they're getting that from their environment and they're getting that from their elders. So it's not about what's fard and what's haram. It's not about labeling things or giving a fatwa. You can go to scholars and ask them what is fard and what is haram. Here, Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is not something that's restricted to scholars or the people of ilm. This is something that every Muslim should do. Every Muslim and Muslimah should be doing this. So Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahi anil Munkar, and before that, Yad'una ila al-Khair, lays the foundation, it sets the tone that they're constantly calling towards and encouraging towards good things. And good things, as I mentioned, they're not restricted to worships. Of course, worships are the core, they are the foundation of our deen, but our deen is not restricted to its worships. So good conduct, good speech, controlling our tempers and our sentiments that are harmful, all of these things fall under ma'ruf. So there should be some people that are dedicated to this. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ, calling towards good. And as a branch of calling towards good, they're encouraging the right things and they're discouraging the wrong things. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about these people? وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These people are the successful ones. A few verses later, the Quran addresses the whole ummah and says, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَوْ آمَنَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ مِنْهُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَأَكْثَرُهُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. You are the best of nations. You have been taken out for the benefit of mankind. Kuntum khayra ummah. Now this address is for all Muslims. Now some mufassirin have said that you, kuntum, is translated as you were, meaning in the first era, in the era of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. Others have said that this kuntum is to lay down a condition that you are the best ummah, you would be the best ummah if you were doing this. And there's a saying of Umar radiallahu anhu to this effect as well. But the point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is labeling this entire ummah as the best ummah, meaning of all the ummahs that have come, of all those groups that have followed the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam stands out. And the reason why it stands out is not just because they're ordaining good and forbidding evil. In fact, ordaining good and forbidding evil was something that was a part of every Sharia. In fact, there were groups from Bani Israel that drew the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the tongues of Dawood alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam because they were not doing this. لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُودَ وَعِيسَى ibn Maryam. They drew the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The prophets cursed them because they had left this task, this responsibility of encouraging good and forbidding evil. And the Quran summarizes it and says, كَانُوا لَا يَتَنَاهُونَ عَنْ مُنْكَرٍ فَعَلُوا. They did not have this environment where they were mutually stopping and hindering each other from doing wrong things. There was no one to discourage bad deeds. So when someone started a bad deed, it spread. There was no one to take responsibility of trying to remove this from the community, from society. So that bad deed prevailed. And when the bad deed prevailed, it drew the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ummah is not specifically tasked or exclusively tasked with Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar. That would be a misunderstanding, because previous nations were also asked to do this. In fact, in the story of Ashabu Sabt, there is a similar reference in the Quran where those people who were preventing them from doing the mistake, they were saved and the others were not saved, as the Quran says. So inviting towards good and forbidding evil is not unique with this ummah. Then why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praising the ummah in this way? It is because this ummah does this as an outstanding feature, as an outstanding characteristic of this ummah, while others may have been charged with doing it in a limited way when the need arose, for example. This ummah is supposed to take this on as a primary task, as a part of their identity, that this is who they are. They are people that wherever they go, they spread good. And wherever they go, they make efforts to eradicate evil and misdeeds and indecency from those environments. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. And they uphold their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing makes them waver. So these are three cornerstones of every Muslim society, every Muslim community. They're spreading good. They have their eyes out for negative influences and elements coming into their communities, into their societies, and they collectively make an effort to stop it. And they do not allow anything to tamper with their iman, their faith. Who is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar for? It is for the Muslims. And this is why a correction would need to be made for those people who think that da'wah is only for non-Muslims. Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is a form of da'wah. It's a branch of da'wah, and it is for Muslims. This is Muslims encouraging other Muslims. This is Muslims discouraging other Muslims from wrong deeds. And when this happens, as long as this is happening, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath and displeasure are withheld. And the moment this stops happening, there are many ahadith, aside from the verses of the Quran, there are many ahadith that indicate that when people stop this, when they stop promoting good and they stop discouraging the evil, then the wrath and the displeasure of Allah is no longer withheld. So these are things that we need to take upon ourselves, just like we ponder about our responsibilities in relation to our worships. It's the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, everyone is being diligent about their fasts. And at the same time, everyone is being extra diligent with their prayers. Many people calculate their zakat this time of the year. People are planning all kinds of charitable things. This is all from the blessings of this beautiful month of Ramadan. But let us keep in mind that Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is also a very important part of what makes us Muslim and what Islam gives us. And this is something that we need to ingrain within ourselves so that it becomes a part of our identity. It should not be possible that there are Muslims living in an area, in a region, and indecency or evil prevails in that area. So we need to be more diligent, and we need to start taking more responsibility for what's happening in our surroundings. Obviously, starting with our homes. Now, a couple of things before I wrap up. One is that As I already mentioned, we are not there to give rulings to people, to give fatwa that this is halal, this is haram, this is an obligation, and this is a prohibition. It's not in that way. It's in a way of motivation, in a way of encouragement, targhib. Tell people the benefits of good deeds and try to reason with them in trying to help them understand the harms of bad deeds for themselves. Until they understand it for themselves, it might be difficult for them to go in the direction that they need to. The other thing is that we do not take a judgmental approach in this. In other words, if someone listens to us, we say they're a good person. And if someone is not listening to us, we condemn them. This is not correct. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about two brothers, one who was pious and practicing, and the other was a little bit rebellious. And the pious one would always remind the rebellious one. And the rebellious one wouldn't really take what he said seriously. Finally, one day, the practicing and the pious one got fed up. And he said, Wallahi, Allah is never going to forgive you. And this statement, this was a judgment that he was passing. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in a position to pass a judgment about anyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was greatly displeased. And he said, Man hadal muta'alli ala Allah. Who is this person taking oaths in the name of Allah? Allah is going to do this and Allah is not going to do this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so displeased by this person's judgment that the person had decided for themselves that the other person, the other party is doomed and condemned. Allah was so displeased. He gave the other one tawfiq to do tawbah and change his life. And this other one, this first one, who initially was pious and practicing and so on and so forth, Allah took his tawfiq away. He died in not a very good state and he ended up being punished. So we do not pass judgments about people. The other thing is that keep in mind that hidayat is not in anyone's hands but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only Allah Azza wa Jal gives guidance. Our responsibility is merely to remind. Allah says this even to his noble prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the greatest da'i, who is the greatest inviter and caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرٍ. Just remind. After all, your role is but that of someone who gives a reminder. You are not there to impose on them. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. You do not have the power to give guidance to whom you want, O Prophet. Rather, Allah gives guidance to whom He wants. If Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had hidayat in his hands, then definitely he would have made sure that his uncle Abu Talib got hidayat. He tried his hardest right till the last minute, but Abu Talib left this world without iman. So we are not here to pass judgments, nor do we have the power to guide anyone. The only thing is that we do our job as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out in his book, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may use our effort to guide someone. Like Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to Ali radiallahu anhu, that لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. If Allah guides someone through you, so it's not you who is going to bring guidance to people, you are going to invite people, you're going to remind, you're going to reason with them, but Allah guides. And if Allah uses you to guide even one person, it's better for you than the greatest commodities, the most precious commodities of this world. The other thing is we should not give up. Sometimes we look at the environment where it's going to offer some resistance, so we give up very quickly, or we don't manage to muster up the courage to stand up and say something. Look, you don't have to be a scholar or an extremely knowledgeable person just to remind someone of the basics of deen. You don't have to be a scholar to remind someone to speak the truth, to remind someone to act nicely, to ask someone to speak in a pleasant way, to get someone to pray on time, to get someone to fast, to get someone to do tawbah. In fact, the world is filled with people who found their way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the hands of very normal and average people. So this is a work that if we present ourselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take it from us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept us if we do it in a way that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us tawfiq to bring this into our lives and establish this concept of promoting good and forbidding evil within our own homes, within our social circles, and within our communities and societies. Let us all make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم لك الحمد كما أنت أهله، فصل على محمد كما أنت أهله، وافعل بنا ما أنت أهله، ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله، إنك أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. رب اغفر وارحم وتجاوز عما تعلم، إنك تعلم ما لا نعلم، إنك أنت الله الأعز الأكرم. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر، لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا، اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولأساتذتنا ولمشايخنا ولمن لهم حق علينا بالدعاء، ولجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان، ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. اللهم زينا بزينة الإيمان واجعلنا هداة مهتدين. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم اجعلنا من القانتين، اللهم اجعلنا من الصادقين، اللهم اجعلنا من الذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات، اللهم اجعلنا من الحافظين فروجهم والحافظات، اللهم اجعلنا من الذين لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. اللهم اجعلنا من أوليائك المقربين واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اجعلنا من أتباع سيد المرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم وفقنا لما تحبه وترضى، وخذ بنواصينا إلى الحق والهدى، واجعل آخرتنا خيرا من الأولى. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا حلالا طيبا واسعا وشفاء عاجلا كاملا من كل داء وعملا متقبلا. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وزدنا علما وزدنا علما. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر، ونعوذ بك من عذاب النار، ونعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات، ونعوذ بك من فتنة المسيح الدجال، ونعوذ بك من المأثم والمغرم، ونعوذ بك من الحور بعد الكور، ونعوذ بك من الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في ديننا ودنيانا وأهلنا ومالنا. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا وعاف مبتلانا. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين صاموا رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا، واجعلنا من الذين قاموا رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا، واجعلنا من الذين قاموا ليلة القدر إيمانا واحتسابا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. آمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.